TheraSonix Comp with a Cause. And this season 6 is about PTSD and suicide prevention with our veterans and first responders across the world. Today I am doing a interview with First Sergeant Bruce Fees, who I know locally. He is not a StarMaker singer, but he came to do this interview with me because he suffers from complex PTSD and is a 100% disabled veteran from the U.S. Army. He had 20 years of service with 7 deployments, and he is sharing his story with us. Part 3 is going now. Great. All right. So you can put your mic back on, sir.
I'm back.
Thank you. All right. So we were talking about PTSD. What did you want to say?
Nikki, the end of that thing was, the point of that story was, the line had now blurred between being in a fight with a person here locally in the street corner or whatever the case may be that I grew up doing my whole life and it was natural to me, to combat, where you kill them as quickly as possible. You're not there to draw out the fight. In combatives, which they call it in the military, and I'm a level 3 instructor, the purpose is to kill them as quickly as possible. If you are fighting with your hands, things have gone terribly wrong. You need to get back in the fight with a gun as quickly as possible. The line had blurred between bouncing at a bar to eliminate a knucklehead in a bar that probably needed a beating after he did that to the kids, to, I gotta kill this guy, eliminate the threat. I became something dangerous to society and dangerous to myself and my freedom. I became more of a machine. That was the first time the line had blurred for me. That was in 2003 or 4. I retired in 2006. From that point forward, it's been a mess for me. It's been a mess of trying to manage an illness without medication, without therapy, without anyone to do it with me, to try and figure it out alone. And I went through a hell that nobody should ever have to go through. I think I don't know if you heard it, but I've been to jail more times than I could count. I'd learn it down to states rather than times because I can't keep track.
And I did read about that. And you and I share a common denominator in our mutual struggle with addiction and bottoming out after traumatic grief. You know, so I know that from your story. Do you want to share some of that? You know, I know that you went to jail first under a lie pretense. Do you want to talk about that as well?
Well, the woman I was in a relationship with, she was in heavy addiction, and I was her savior in my mind. I was going to help her get clean. I was going to get her off the street. I was going to make her life better. You know, save people out here that I couldn't save before. I failed saving other people, so now I'm going to save this person. And she didn't want to save, but I was going to do it. And I was trying to get her into a rehab, and I was trying to get her sober. I was using, she had gotten out on bond. I bonded her out with the bondsman. She had pending charges, and I threatened her that if she didn't go to rehab, that I would pay for it, take her there and help her for it. She was going to go to jail. I was going to come off her bond. The bondsman was in on it. He told her the same thing, Mark Courtret. Her mother told her the same thing. The heavy lien came on her that she was going to rehab or she was going to jail, because I was convinced she was going to die if she didn't. So, and I wasn't going to be an enabler for that. So I decided to push the issue. Well, I showed up at 3 a.m. one time to the apartment that she wasn't supposed to be in at that time to go spend the rest of my night and work the next day, be moving out, but she was there. A fight broke out between us, verbal, and it's very loud, very escalated. But she had paranoid herself into believing that the bondsman was on the way to get her, that I was in cahoots with the bondsman. We were going to basically arrest her and put her in jail. And she wasn't having that. She panicked. She panicked, and she let her, while I was in the kitchen, she went over the balcony, second floor, and started lowering herself down. I knew that because I heard the balcony squishing, the plastic going, wait. I turn and look, and she's lowering herself down. I go running towards her. She lets go and falls into the bushes down below. She bounces up like a deer and takes off running. 5:30 in the morning. She's naked from the waist down except for a sleeping shirt. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to stop her. This house is full of drugs. This house is full of paraphernalia. This will turn very ugly for both of us. Let me go save her. So I go over the balcony myself, drop down to the ground, and I'm in great shape at the time, take off running after her, catch her down at the corner of the building, and we're now wrestling out there in the grass. I'm trying to get her back into the house. She's doing everything she could possibly do to not get back in the house because she thought she was going to be forced into a rehab. I'm like, my God, we're going to go to jail. If the police come, we're both going to jail. I can't get her in the house. I'm wrestling with her. By that time, some lights kick on in the neighborhood. It's a golf community, and all these golfers are in town, and they're coming out to save this poor girl that's under duress. So they're coming across the grass, yelling at me to get away from her, and I take off like a deer. I said, I got to go. This is going to hell. I go, off I go. Well, I went away. That's what it was to me. And I'd seen the police cars coming, and I was running and hiding, and I was in swamps, and at one point I was in a swamp, and they had dogs outside that thing, and they were discussing whether or not they were going to come in that swamp looking for me. And I was like a gator laying in that mud. The only thing you could see is my eyes blinking. Because I said,
oh, Jesus.
They're not coming out. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I was in full combat mode. I said, they come in here, they're dying in this swamp, them and their dog. That'd be a big mistake for them because I own this swamp. I guarantee you that. And they left, thank goodness. I crawled out of the swamp and I went across some open field and there's helicopters. I'm confused as to why there's so much excitement over this fight in the yard. I said, man, they must have gone in the house and found all these drugs and they must really want to take me out. What is this? This was a fight that never even turned physical except for the wrestling match. There was no punches thrown, no nothing like that. Just me trying to get her off the ground and get her in the house. So I'm like, man, but I pissed off some police, so that's for damn sure. And I continued to get away. I eluded them for the rest of that morning. At one point, I dived into a condominium pool and cleaned myself head to toe. Because my keys, my wallet, my cell phone were in that house. Where was I going? I had no access to my money, no access to my vehicle, nothing. I said, oh my God, where am I going? I got to get back and get my keys and car and money or I'm screwed. I can't go in the room without anything. So 5-6 hours have gone by. The police are long gone, right? They've made their report and they've done what they were doing and they're gone. I make my way all the way around, 180 around that place to come in the opposite way. I get close to the house at around 6 hours later, around noonish, and there's still police all around the house, the apartment actually, over here in River Oaks. And I said, damn, they're still here.
Because they had found the drugs, right?
I thought that was the issue. That's what I thought. Okay, this is bad. You know, the drugs, whatever. All right, can't go back yet. So I continued to haul butt a little bit. 3-4 hours later, I said, I got to go home. I got to hope that they're not there. I got to go there and try to get into my place and get my wallet and my cell phone. If I got those two things, I could function. I don't need the vehicle. But when I'm walking back, and I'm now clean as a whistle. Now, I've been in swamps and everything, but I clean myself. I'm in the bathroom of the condominium pool cleaning my toenails and stuff. I was spotless. Washed my clothes and everything. Oh, yeah. I stripped naked in that pool. I cleaned everything. I was spotless. I'm walking down the street, and one of the police officers drive by me and don't even slow down. I'm like, whew, thank goodness. Another police officer drives by me, whew, doesn't even slow down. I'm like, well, they're still around, but they don't recognize me, I guess, or something. The third one goes by, and I see the brake lights in my rear view peripheral, and I said, uh-oh. And he came backing up, and he rolls down his window, and he looks at me, and he goes, are you Bruce Fees? Well, yes, sir, I am. Just smiling and happy as can be, trying to play this off. He goes, can you stand by a second? Absolutely, sir. At this point, I still don't know exactly what happened, but I knew there was a lot of people looking for me. He goes, can you do me a favor and sit down on the sidewalk? Yes, sir. Sat down on the sidewalk. Within 30 seconds, I had more police around me with their guns drawn in a semicircle than I've ever seen in my life in one spot, except the firing range.
Why?
Because she had told them that I came into that. I broke into the apartment. It was my apartment. I had the keys. I opened the door. My license said that's my address. I got my mail there. I lived there. But she said I hadn't lived there for a month, which was a lie. That I had broken in, that I assaulted her, and that I was going in the kitchen to get a knife to kill her, so she fled to save her life.
So you were arrested for attempted murder.
I was arrested for burglary 1, assault 1, kidnapping. They stopped short of attempted murder. But there was an argument between the solicitor and the guard to go with attempted murder. They decided they would have an easier time proving burglary 1, which carries 0 to life and everything else. I had no clue whatsoever.
So is that why you're in treatment court now? Or that's a different charge, isn't it?
That is 2015.
Because they dropped that charge.
Yes. A year and a half later.
So they did. They dropped this charge on him. I do remember that from your story now.
A year and a half later, I pled guilty to misdemeanor, assault third, not even on a female, no probation, no fine, time served, apology from the solicitor, apology from the judge, on record, in court. Her and her mother both retracted their statements under oath and told the story that I told you, the true story. That was the end of that. That still haunts me to this day. But the lunatic that I am, we got back together and spent 6 more months together. And
oh my God.
Oh yeah, I went right back to the fire. Went right back to the
Let me ask you this, because I know that you, and I have found myself in the same situation in relationships. Do you feel that your addiction previously has attracted you obviously to people with your, it's like you see someone with your trauma, so you pick someone
Absolutely.
who has trauma.
Absolutely.
So do you still do that even though you're working on yourself?
100%. My boundaries suck. And my boundaries are way better than they were, but they still suck. The girl that I got run over.
Yeah, let's get into that. So I went to see Bruce after I already knew who he was and I had been around him in meetings. And I respected him because he was talking a lot of sense. And then I hear this story of how Bruce got run over by an F300, is that right? Is the big dually truck, 350, sorry.
F350 pickup truck.
And so when I went to go see him, I asked him what had happened. And he let me know that he had been trying to help a fellow addict. And so go ahead with the story, Bruce.
I think my title continues to be, and I wear it proudly, is Captain Save-A-Ho. I don't mean that joke, but I have been referred to that.
I have to laugh at that. Sorry.
And I actually am Captain Save-A-Ho. Everybody else might be a pretender. I'm the real one. She's an active addiction heavy. The fact she's alive right now is a miracle. If she doesn't go to the hospital shortly, she will die in addiction. Her infections are so bad, she's going to turn cesspit. It's going to move into her heart. She's going to die. She knows that, but yet she still won't go. But I've known her for 2 years. I met her at a rehab when she was sober. And coincidentally, that was in Raleigh at the Healing Transition of Wake County. 2 years later, we're here at the beach, and we did not come here together. We just passed crossed again. Now she's in full addiction. But 11 o'clock at night, she calls me and says, "This asshole won't let me out of the truck at the neighborhood Walmart. Would you please come get me? I live 2 blocks away." That's not my information. The phone went dead. But then she texted me and said, "Gray dual axle pickup." It says 11 o'clock at night. It's going to be hard to find. I cruise up there to the parking lot. I was parking a tire aisle behind them. I flick my lights 3 times, thinking he'll let her out. He don't. I'm confused. She's not answering her phone. She's not texting. What the heck? I still don't think much of it. I get out of my truck. I take about 5 steps in his direction or so. All of a sudden, that truck fires up. It backs out of that parking space. It turns towards me, and he punches it. That thing breaks traction, and here it comes, like a big-ass tank coming after me in a battlefield. Oh, shit. He could go any direction he wanted to. He could have went forward. He didn't have to back up. He could have went left or right. He could have gone anywhere he wanted. He's coming at me. And I wasn't ready for that. And I start backing up, trying to get out of his way, and the mirror of the big, gigantic mirror of this truck caught me in the arm.